Dreamers, welcome back. I have a really fun tag video for you today. This is the palette recommendation tag and it was started by Kaylee. I will leave a link to her channel down below. If you haven't checked her out, she is the first person that I go to when a new eyeshadow palette comes out or I'm looking at an old eyeshadow palette and I want to know whether I should buy it or not. Her recommendations are absolutely fantastic. She also gives recommendations on other kinds of makeup, not just eyeshadow, but she seems like a really sweet and genuine person and I really trust her reviews. So go and check her channel out. She did come up with this tag, and what this tag is to recommend palettes to you for different situations. So I'm just going to get started going through her questions. This is the second time that I have filmed this because it is now 1 o'clock in the morning. I am still only about halfway through my to-do list for today, and I filmed this entire video and realized I hadn't turned my microphone on. This is why you shouldn't do things way late at night, but that's what happens when you are a busy working mom. So question number 1 is the best palette for beginners. Now I just went through and when I think of someone who's beginning with eyeshadow, and I remember back when I was really a beginner with grown-up eyeshadow, if that makes sense. I'd used eyeshadow a lot when I was younger, but when I was really getting started with doing eyeshadow looks that you know, weren't just one color of a CoverGirl eyeshadow over my whole entire lid with the little applicator that came in the package. When I was really ready to do grown-up eyeshadow looks, I thought about, you know, it didn't really take me long to get to a different level of comfort, and then a different level of comfort, and then a different level of comfort. So what I tried to pick out with this palette is something that you could start off with as a true beginner, but that would also grow with you. And I picked the Too Faced Boudoir Eyes palette. Now, this palette has very, very lovely colors, but they're all a little bit muted. You have a very easy track to follow here. You can do one eyeshadow look with each of these 3 rows. You can do the biggest pan all over your eyelid. You can do the middle color, you know, all over the smaller part of your lid, and then you can do these darker colors on the outer corner and on into the crease. Then as you get a little bit more comfortable, you can start mixing and matching the colors. The other thing that I really like about Too Faced eyeshadows is that they, and I couldn't find the one for this palette, but they do all come with a little booklet that gives you ideas for looks. This is the one from the Semi-Sweet Chocolate Bar palette. But it gives you ideas for looks. It tells you exactly which shadow to use and exactly where to place it, and then it shows you pictures of the looks. So this is a reason why these palettes are great for beginners. Too Faced has a lot of different eyeshadow palettes. They are all really pretty darn good. There's very little variation with the exception of a couple of palettes. But the reason why I picked this one is because it is muted. It's forgiving. These colors are easy to blend. You're going to have an easy time learning to work grown-up eyeshadow looks with this palette. Question number 2 is best drugstore palette. I picked 2. They're really kind of the same thing, just different shade ranges. One is on the cool side and one is on the warm side. And they're the Milani Everyday Eyes. In fact, any of the Milani Everyday Eyes would be fantastic. But the 2 that I'm going to show you for the best ones, I think, out of the collection are the Must Have, which is this. This is the Must Have Naturals. So it gives you a really nice cool look. Also, these are really good for beginners because they do have a guide on the back as well. And then Bare Necessities, which is a really just fantastic warm toned palette. Both of these would be great for beginners. They're fantastic at the drugstore. There's a couple of more of these I'm going to show you later on in this video, but any of the Milani Everydays are highly worth it. They're $10, and if you watch Walgreens and CVS, you can find the buy one get one 50% off sales, and I would highly recommend picking up all of them because there's 6 of them. They're all fantastic. Okay, best palette for work or school. I'm going to assume that most people, when they go to work or school, they want something that's a little bit understated, something that's going to be a little bit more natural, but something that could also still be a little bit fun and make you feel strong and feminine. I don't really have a guideline like that for what I wear to work. About the only things I'm not going to wear to work are super vivid brights and a deep, dark, smoky eye. But when it comes to color and when it comes to all of that, it's all fair game for me. So I'm not going to stick with what I would do. I'm going to stick with what I think that other people might do. And again, I picked a cool and a warm. So the cool that I would recommend is the Urban Decay Naked 3. I absolutely love this palette. I think that you can get a fantastic variety of looks from this palette. The other nice thing about this palette, and the other one that I will mention too, is that you can do a look that is understated but fun and feminine for work or school, and then when you get home it's got these nice darker shades, and so you can smoke it up a little bit and go out and have, you know, fun that evening if you are able to do that sort of thing. But this is a really just fantastic palette for work or school because you can get a variety of looks that are still understated. For the warm, I would recommend Too Faced Natural Matte palette. Same kind of deal. You get a lot of really nice sort of understated shades that you can play with for work or school, but they're all going to be on the warm side. So just depending on what your preferences are. Do you like the cooler colors? Do you like the warmer colors? You know, hopefully, I'm trying to give you an option on either side for each of these recommendations so that I'm covering all the bases. Okay, number 4 is best palette for a natural way to play with color. Again, I have two for you, a cool and a warm. They're both from the Too Faced Chocolate Bar line, but not the actual chocolate bar palette, which I think is my least favorite of the line. For the cool side, I would recommend Too Faced Chocolate Bonbons. So this palette has a lot of really nice neutral colors. You can do a completely neutral look with it, but you also have some super fun pops of color in here that will just really let you play when you are in the mood. So a beautiful purple, that teal, that hot pink. I really like this palette because it does allow you to play with color somewhat safely because you still have all of those neutrals. Same thing with the Semi-Sweet Chocolate Bar for those of you who like the warmer colors. You've got this, you know, these fun pops of color in here. You've got this, you know, nice peanut butter color, which everybody just loves. You've got this beautiful blueberry color, and then you have this super fun kind of gold color. So again, you can play with some pops of color without really stepping too far out of a neutral palette. So both of those are fantastic. Okay, number 5 is biggest bang for your buck. And I went round and round and round with myself because I knew what I wanted to pick as soon as I saw it. But I kept thinking, you can't do that because is that really a palette? But I'm doing it anyway. These are the little Wet n Wild trios. These are fantastic. And I think I got these both for $1 a piece. I can't remember if they were on sale, but I think they're $1 to $2. And you just get so much product in here. Let's see, you get 3.5 grams of product in this little $2 trio. The colors are fantastic. They blend beautifully. You can get fantastic looks with these. Like I said, Silent Treatment is my favorite, and Sweet as Candy would be my second favorite. I mix and match these a lot. I use them together. I use them by themselves, but for $2, and those will last forever. I mean, I have been using Silent Treatment. I've used it and used it and used it and used it, and you can still even see the words on the eyeshadow. So they just really last a long time. That's why I say for $2, definitely worth every penny. Okay, best palette for my skin tone. I have a light to medium skin tone, just depending on the time of year. The colder months, I'm more on the lighter side, and in the summer months, I'm more on the true medium side. I'm also a neutral undertone, so I can get away with pretty much anything, to be honest. So if I was going to go with just something that just really went with my skin tone, that was affordable, which is kind of what I threw in here, since I can go with pretty much anything, I decided to throw in affordable there. If I was going to recommend something to you, if you have that skin tone where you can pretty much do anything and you want something affordable that's quality, I would recommend the CoverGirl True Naked palettes. You've got a nice warm here, or I'm sorry, that's the cool side, the cool with the roses and the warm with the nudes. You just get a really nice pop of color. This one is actually really similar to the Naked 3. So if you were looking at that one earlier and you're like, oh, I love that, I do, but it's $54, go for this one. It's going to look great with your skin tone. If you're even fairer, this is going to work good. If you're a little bit darker than me, this is still going to work good. Same with the nudes. This is really, I think this is similar. I can't remember whether it's the Naked 1 or Naked 2 because I don't have either of those. But it is very similar to another Naked palette. Again, looks great with your skin tone. This is going to be on the warmer side, but neither of these is too cool or too warm. It's not too far this way, it's not too far this way. So just kind of nice, neat in the middle, a little bit warm, a little bit cool, and it will work for, really those will work for a variety of skin tones. But if you have a light to medium skin tone, you're like me, and you kind of change throughout the year, you've got those neutral undertones, you can buy those two palettes and be set year round. Best palette for green eyes. I have green eyes, and you were asked to do what your eye color was. So green eyes really pop with purples, and they pop with bronzy golds. So I'm going to go to the Milani Everyday Eyes in Plum Basics. And this has some just beautiful, beautiful purple colors that will really make your green eyes pop. I get so many compliments when I wear this palette, and just beautiful purples in there. And of course, I've already talked to death about the Milani Everyday Eyes and their quality. I would also recommend Earthly Elements. Has these beautiful sort of bronzy, orangey colors that will really bring out that green in your eyes. So there's another look at that. Again, these are $10 a piece. If you don't want drugstore and you want something high end, but you still want those colors, you want them all in one, go for the Too Faced Peanut Butter and Jelly palette. It has those bronzy golds and those purples that were just really fantastic for green eyes, but you've got them all in one palette. I did a whole video about these Milani Everyday Eye palettes as a dupe for the high end, but I know, you know, some people prefer high end, some people prefer drugstore. I'm trying to give you as many options here as possible. Plus, I'm tired. It's after 1 o'clock in the morning, and I do this to myself way too often, don't I? Okay, best all-in-one palette. This is almost an all-in-one palette. It's missing one item. It does not have a bronzer in it, but I'm going to forgive it because of all of the other things that it does have. BH Cosmetics Pride and Prejudice and Zombie palette. I don't hear people talk about this palette at all. I am a big fan of BH Cosmetics. Some of their stuff is hit and miss for me, but I think that their eyeshadows for the price are really great. This is a $12 palette, and in it you get this beautiful line of warm colors. You get a beautiful line of cool colors, purples, golds, pinks, oranges, silvers, blacks. You've got everything that you need to do a ton of different eyeshadow looks in here. You also have a cool blush and a warm blush. This one is not as orangey as you think that it is. It is very, very beautiful. In fact, it reminds me a little bit of the Milani, the Luminoso blush. You've got a highlighter in here that is really gorgeous. That is what I have on my cheeks, and then I have this blush on right now, and I have this eyeshadow on from this cooler line today. So really this gives you just about everything that you need, except for a bronzer, $12. You really can't beat it. I highly recommend checking out BH Cosmetics eyeshadow palettes. Best for travel. I really don't travel a lot, to be honest. I went on vacation this year. That's the only travel that I will be doing. Since I write the newspaper for my town, they don't let me leave very often because I have to be here to cover the news here instead of traveling. My job does not require me to travel. Ryan's job does not require him to travel. So we just don't do a lot of traveling. Now, in my job that I had before this, I would travel a little bit, 1 to 2 days, but not very much. And this is the palette that I took with me. And it is the Tarte Rainforest After Dark palette. For one thing, I love the packaging on this. It's probably my favorite packaging of all of the palettes that I have because of that snake. But this has everything that you need. It's got a bronzer, it's got a blush, it's got a highlight, it's got a bunch of different eyeshadow colors. I did a series, I want to say, well, it wasn't really a series, it was just a video a couple of years ago with 6 different eyeshadow looks that you could get from this palette. I use the bronzer, the highlight, and the blush as eyeshadows too, so you can get a lot of different looks. About the only thing that doesn't make this perfect for travel for me is there's no black and there's not really any kind of pops of color. But if you're traveling for work and you like those kind of understated colors, this is absolutely perfect and it has everything that you need, and you can take one thing instead of 4. And the last question is a palette that I do not recommend. I don't have this palette anymore. I have since passed it on to a 6-year-old because that's really who's going to get use out of it. But it is the Maybelline Rock and Roll palette. Or Rock Nudes. I can't remember exactly what it's called. I will look it up. It will be listed down below. I'm going to put a picture of it right up here so that you know what to avoid when you go to the drugstore. I saw this palette and I immediately fell in love, and I didn't even think twice, and I stuck it in my cart. I bought it. I brought it home, and it was such a disappointment. It was so dry and powdery and chalky. It was patchy. It had almost no pigmentation. It did not blend well. It did not foil. It did not work with a white base. It did not. I used all of my tips and tricks, and I just could not get that palette to work. It is not worth the money unless you are buying it as play makeup for a little girl, because that's what we use it for at my house now. Thank you guys so much for watching today. If you have any recommendations for eyeshadow palettes that I didn't cover today and you have a question about, please leave a comment down below and let me know. If you have recommendations for these categories, leave a comment down below, let other people know, because you may have palettes that I don't have, and we can just help each other out. Plus, I love hearing you guys' suggestions, recommendations, and talking to you. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you love eyeshadow palettes. Check out Kaylee's video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time.